Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our daily shir. Thank you to Raya and Mordechai. And today we're going to be discussing Parsha Nitzavim. Our Parsha that we are going to be reading this week is can teach us a lot about belief, about emunah. We know that one of the strongest foundations that our nation is based on, Am Yisrael, is the foundation of emunah, belief. And there's a pasuk that we all know, and the pasuk says, Ki karov eilecha, the thing is close to you, me'od, very close, beficha, in your mouth, uvilvavcha, in your heart, la'asoisoi, to do it. Which means that practicing Judaism is close to us, very close to us, which means very easy to do. We are able to do it in our hearts, in our mouth, and in our actions. And here, it's interesting the way that it's close. Because we would ask ourselves, how is it close? And what makes it close? Because it seems close. Keeping Judaism, practicing Judaism, keeping the mitzvot, isn't something that everyone does, because it seems to be something that isn't so close. It isn't so easy. But nevertheless, the pasuk in our parsha tells us, yes, ki karov eilecha, it is close to you, hadavar me'od, very close. There's a story, a famous story, about one Jew from Krakow, and this is a real story. Very interesting. This Jew dreamt. He used to live in Krakow, and he dreamt about a treasury that was hidden underneath the bridge of Prague. Prague is in the Czech Republic, and Krakow is part of Poland. So there were both big Jewish communities in both of these cities. But nevertheless, they were a bit far from one another. It took several days, but this Jew thought, I dreamt about this treasure that is hidden underneath the bridge of Prague. I'm going to travel to Prague and find this treasure. So he starts his traveling, and after several days, he enters the city of Prague. He asks people, where is the famous bridge of Prague? And they show him, here it is. So he goes to that bridge, and he starts looking around. He's walking around. He wants to see where's a potential place for the treasure to be hidden. And suddenly one of the guards there turns to him and says, what are you looking for here? Seemed a bit suspicious, a person walking several times around and looking for a hidden place. What is going on here? So this Jew told him, I dreamt about a treasure that lays beneath the bridge here in Prague. And that's why I came all the way from my town, and I'm looking for this treasure. Maybe you could help me. So that guard started laughing. He never heard a better joke than that. A person dreams about a treasure that is somewhere in the world, and he would travel all the way to try and find it. He was laughing, and he told him, you know what? I also dreamt a dream. And in my dream, I saw that there's a treasure underneath a person's house, underneath his oven, in a city called Krakow, and this Jew's name was Yaakov. Now, this Jew that traveled all the way lived in Krakow, and his name was Yaakov. Immediately, the Jew understood the hint to the treasure. The treasure is underneath his house. So he tells the guard, thank you very, very much. I appreciate it. Maybe one day I'll remember you. Runs back to his house and he finds a treasure underneath his oven. Now, this story is a true story because this person, Yaakov, built a famous shul in Krakow. And this shul still exists till this very day. And it's an interesting story. I don't know why it happened. What I can tell you one thing that it can teach us. It can teach us about a treasure that each and every one of us have underneath our oven, in our homes, more than that, in ourselves. And this is the idea of ki karov eilecha hadavar me'od, that things are close to us. What does it mean things are close to us? Things, the belief that we have, the emunah that every Jew has is close to him. Why? Because this is part of us. This is our neshama. This is our soul. And the truth is that the whole purpose of the Tanya, the famous book that the Alter Rebbe wrote, that guides us serving Hashem. This book is there to answer, how is it close? In the introduction, the Alter Rebbe quotes this pasuk, and he asks the question, Ki karov eilecha hadavar me'od, keeping Torah and mitzvahs is something that's close to us. How is it close? And the Alter Rebbe has there two answers. One answer is the belief, the neshama. Each and every one of us, part of our DNA is from Avraham Avinu. And that neshama is connected deeply to Hashem. That's why no matter what, things are close to us. Even if there are struggles and this neshama is covered in a physical body and in challenges in the world and in an exile in a certain way, not in a certain way, literally in an exile. We are in an exile, our neshama is in an exile, but nevertheless, it's still close to us because it's there. It's not something that we need to recreate. It's not something that we need to bring from somewhere else. It is part of us. It is underneath the oven in our houses. And this is how it's close. This is the first explanation. There's another explanation how close it is. And this is a method and a tool that Hasidus talks about quite a lot. This is called hitbonenut, right? It says there are quite a few mitzvot, and there's a story about one of the tzaddikim that his student came to him and he told him, Rebbe, all of the mitzvahs I know how, right? When we want to light Shabbos candles, it's very simple, very easy. You take 2 candles and you light them, you say the bracha. When we put on tefillin, what we are basically doing is something very simple. All you need is the kosher tefillin, and you put it on your arm, and you say the bracha, and that's the mitzvah. And all the other mitzvot, we are about to hear the shofar. A very simple and easy mitzvah to do. There's one mitzvah that he said he finds it hard. He doesn't know how to do this mitzvah. How should we do the mitzvah? What mitzvah is this? Ve'ahavta et Hashem Elokecha. Loving Hashem, your God. How do we do that? How do we love Hashem? These are nice words. These are powerful words. It's a powerful mitzvah. It's a strong mitzvah. It's an important mitzvah. But how do we practice it? How do we actually do it? I can say that I love Hashem. Is that the mitzvah? Just saying that I love Hashem, I love Hashem? But what's the meaning behind that? Is that true love? So this is what the Admor told him, what the Rebbe told him. And this is what the Alter Rebbe teaches us in Tanya about the whole idea of hitbonenut. Hitbonenut means thinking in a deep way, in a research way, where we try and understand Hashem, basically. Hitbonenut. That is, by the way, our davening every day in the morning involves hitbonenut. When we say Psukei de Zimra, when we say the chapters of Tehillim that David HaMelech said, praising Hashem for all what he created, if it is the mountains, if it's the seas, if it's all the animals, if it's the fact that Hashem takes care of his creation, all of these things are supposed to cause us to think, wait a second, Hashem takes care of each and every one of us. Hashem is amazing. That's, in other words, what we are davening in the beginning of the davening. That's what we are basically doing. That is called hitbonenut. It's a deep way of thinking, of understanding, and coming to a result, to a conclusion that Hashem takes care of us. And this causes a person to love Hashem. Through understanding and thinking about the fact that Hashem creates the world constantly, and he takes care of each and every one of his creatures, and all the magnificent things that Hashem created in the world, the stars, the trees, as we read every morning in Psukei de Zimra, in the beginning. Only after that part we are worthy to say Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad, and then we say Ve'ahavta. Then we can truly love Hashem because of our understanding and connection to Hashem. Right? You can't love someone if you don't know what he is, who he is, what does he do, what is our connection to him. And here is the second way of finding Yiddishkeit. Torah and mitzvahs, finding it close to us. It truly is close to us. How is it close to us? Because we can think about it. We can think about our connection to Hashem, what Hashem does for us, and therefore this should create a love towards Hashem, and Torah and mitzvah should be close to us. So now we have two ways, two paths that the Alter Rebbe teaches us. How Parsha? Ki karov elecha hadavar me'od. This thing of keeping Torah and mitzvahs is truly close to us. What is the difference between the two ways? So there's a very interesting story about Jerusalem. About Jerusalem bringing Yerushalayim to the world in a concert. Here is a bringing Yerushalayim to the world in a way of thinking. This is a story about the wise children of Jerusalem. They were pretty smart. And I think also even in our days, we can find many young children from Yerushalayim that have a smart way of thinking. And the story is about one rabbi that traveled to Yerushalayim, traveling to Jerusalem, and he asked a kid right out of Jerusalem, he said, what is the way to Yerushalayim? So he asked him, do you want to go the short way or the longer way? So basically what happened was that this rabbi was walking to Yerushalayim, and he wanted to know, well, what is the way? What is the best way to go? And the child asked that rabbi, tell me, you want to go the short way or do you want to go the long way? And the rabbi said, well, of course, I want to go the short way. So he points to him the certain path, a certain way, and he could already see from where he was standing, he could see the walls of Jerusalem. But after a half an hour, he comes back to the same point where he started, and he turns to the kid and he tells him, this isn't a short way. You gave me the long way because I've been going all around and there's all these thorns and trees and fields on the way that I can't get. It's not so easy to get. I can see the walls, but there's no direct path. So the kid said, well, yes, you asked for the short way. That's the short way. The longer way is going for several kilometers through a road, but it's many more kilometers, but it will get you finally to your place. So there are two ways. This is a story that in the Talmud, and there are two ways. What we learn from the story is that there are two ways that we could enter a city. There's a long way that might be technically long, but you'll get there for sure. You are guaranteed to arrive safely. Then there is a short way where you could see the walls. They are what we call kav aviri. In Hebrew, kav aviri means that there's a line directly in the air where you would see your destination. But nevertheless, there's no comfortable road leading there. You need to go through fields, thorns, etc., etc. That makes it uncomfortable. Why am I telling this story? So this story, these two paths are the two paths that we just spoke about. One is the treasure, and one is what we have to work hard for. If we rely on our treasure, so sometimes it works. And the treasure's there, there's no doubt about it. You can see the walls of Yerushalayim. There's Yerushalayim. But it doesn't always work, which means you aren't guaranteed to arrive at your destination. It might be very hard. It's an easy way. It seems like a short way because it's relying on your belief that is part of you. It's part of your nature. You have your treasure over there. No one's taking it away. You have your neshama. You have your belief. But how many stories we know about what Chazal teach us, that there could be a thief that prays to Hashem before entering the house that he wants to steal from. He prays to Hashem. He says, Hashem, please, I want to succeed in stealing from this house. How could that be? Here's a person that believes in Hashem because he prays to him, but he does the wrong thing. Yes, that's the short route. That's the route where we rely only on our belief, only on our neshama, without practically bringing it down to our minds, relating to it in a true way. And that is the short cut. That's the short route. And it's good. It's good for starts. It's good in certain cases. So many stories about people that suddenly their neshama lit into fire. Suddenly they felt a special feeling that changed their lives. Yes, because the neshama is there. And not only the neshama is there, but the neshama has an effect on the person. That is why even people that had no connection to Judaism in the outside, but when it came a time where, if it was in the Inquisition, if it was in the times of the Holocaust, the Germans forced them to do things against Judaism. Even people that weren't close to Hashem, they said no. Why? Because they have the neshama, they have that godly soul inside them that did not allow them. So that's one way. Then there's the second way, and the second way is the way of what we call hitbonenut, of a true deep understanding. And you actually, that in that way, in that method of connection to Hashem, you actually connect and relate to the existence of Hashem in a full way, because it's in your mind. You thought about it. You think about the great things that Hashem does to you, the great thing that Hashem provides you, and the fact that he loves you. Well, no one like that would say, yes, I'm going to pray to Hashem and go steal. Doesn't go together. Doesn't go together. So these are the two paths. These are the two ways of connecting to Hashem. This is what it says in our Parsha. And it's an interesting point that we can find with Avraham Avinu. Avraham Avinu, what age did he find out about Hashem's existence? What age did he become a believer? So there are a few midrashim, a few explanations, a few timelines that Chazal teach us, that the scholars teach us. And I would like to present it in a way of a machlokes, an argument between the Rambam, the Maimonides, and the Ra'avad, who was, he was basically a scholar that was a bit older than the Maimonides, and they argued a lot. Of halacha, that Avraham Avinu knew about Hashem at the age of 40. What does the Ra'avad say? On the spot, the Ra'avad points out and he says, there are many midrashim that tell us that Avraham figured out the existence of Hashem at the age of 3. At the age of 3 years old, already then Avraham knew about Hashem. What is the argument? What is the argument between the two? Did the Rambam not know about those midrashim? Did the Ra'avad not know about other midrashim that tell us that at the age of 40? Is that an argument in reality? What really happened there? The truth is that these two dates, the date of 3 years old and the date of 40 years old, they are two ways in understanding the connection to Hashem. And these are the two ways that we just spoke about now. At the age of 3, that Avram was a child. He was a special child, but he was still a child. A child only has belief. He can't really understand. He can't go through the process of hitbonenut. It's more the sense of belief. He felt something different. He felt something special. Maybe he also used a bit of logic, but a kid cannot influence his behavior by logic, right? You would go to a kid that's 3 years old and you would tell him, listen, don't do this and that because it might harm you. It's not really going to work, at least for the majority of kids. You've got to just make sure that they don't do it. But he's not in a place, in a position where he could actually educate himself through understanding whether something is good or bad. That's the age of 3. And that is the way the Ra'avad approaches Avraham Avinu. He says that Avraham Avinu knew about Hashem already at the point where he was 3 years old. That was a stage of belief. But the Maimonides says it's not enough just to be a believer. It's not enough just to know about Hashem at the age of 3. We've got to upgrade that connection. We've got to upgrade that connection in a way where we don't stop at the age of 3. Yes, belief is something very important. That's the foundation that starts at a young age. But we cannot be satisfied with that foundation. We've got to grow. We've got to build a strong building on that foundation. The building is made out of understanding Hashem, connecting to Hashem, relating to Him, reading the Tehillim of King David, seeing how Hashem created this magnificent, special world and how He does it in such a special way, in such a good way. And this gives us the true owner, creator of the world. That is the second level. So once again, we've got these two methods, these two ways that we read in our Parsha. One is a treasure, like the story that we learned, that we about the treasure in Krakow. The other one is the understanding, the method of hitbonenut, in the words of Chassidut, where we think through what is around us, what is happening here, how was everything created, and we come to a conclusion that it's Hashem. That's the second route. And we know that one route is the short route, the other one is a long route. The long route is the understanding, because you've got to read a lot of things. You've got to understand things. You've got to go through it again in your mind. But the other route is a short route, but it doesn't always get you to your destination. You can see the walls of Yerushalayim. It's there because your neshama is there. But it's going to be very hard to go through all those obstacles on your way. Thank you very, very much for taking part in this year. And I would like to take also this opportunity to wish everyone Ktiva v'chatima tova, l'shana tova u'metuka.